My friend, this video is going to be about something called pattern recognition. So I'm going to play a little something, watch what my fingers do, and then I'll break it down into brass tacks. Here we go. This is in the key of A major. And then I'm going to use the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. Meaning, when I go through these notes in the key of A major, we have 3 sharps. Those sharps are F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp in that order. So when we say A, B, we don't say C, we say C sharp. And anybody who's been playing the git fiddle for a little minute knows that this is a C major, and you can't just do that. But if you play your C major with the secondary finger and move it up in bar, you most definitely can. If that's a little too over the top, check out the other videos that I do on this channel. They might open up some doorways to thought that will allow you to speed past the first 2 months of beginning acoustic or electric. If you do like what I'm doing here, please subscribe, put something cool in the comment section, and learn some things. And if you already know some things, put them in the comment section. I'd like to learn as well. So for A, what I want to do is have this A go to a C sharp and then to a D. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this major 7th and go a half step slide right into the 1 chord. Now what I want to do is move that so I have tertiary harmony. Sense. I hope it does. That means that I have the 1 and the 3. I've got the 2 and the 4. We've got the 3, and then we're playing that E right there. So we got the 3 and the 5. And then we're going to slide up our 7 here, which means we're going to need to go a half step below for 2 notes that are not really, 1 note's not in the key there. Isn't, but is the whole point I'm trying to achieve. You don't have to stay within the diatonic 7, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. You can move half steps below and do little slides. Here on the island, very, very much representative of like a slack key sound, but it sounds good in every genre, really. At least in my opinion, just one person's. So A, C sharp, E, and then we're doing a major 7th at G sharp into the A, but using it tertiarily. If you can do it on the lower spectrum here, and then you can see it on the higher spectrum. See how we use these dyads, like playing our E at the 5th fret of the B string, and then playing our, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. It's our minor 3rd, so that's a C sharp as well. When we play right here, we're playing like we're playing a D major, but we're only using 2 notes from the dyad. We're using the 1 and the 5. Again with the E up, and then down a half step right into that chord. See how these mechanisms? Just by noodling, coming up, and by the way, I didn't plan this. I'm just saying a key structure and just playing and trying to explain what I'm doing. I know it's not the best way to do a video, but it does show what writing music in real time looks like. If I would have hit a wrong note and heard something that just doesn't sound right, I would either embrace it and write around it and then have fun with that, or just feel that out for a second, then go back to my... You can do a whole bunch of different things over and all. But the point I'm trying to convey here is to find patterns and keep noodling. When I say noodling, I mean keeping good finger positioning. We try on this channel to teach how these spider exercises allow for 4 frets, 4 frets, and 4 frets. And when you go back a half step with 1 finger, use 4 fingers, and then up a half step, augmenting and diminished, you could cover a lot of ground. In fact, you can do different slides and all sorts of stuff. So if you wanted to get from one side of this instrument, you can use different runs which are considered part of your arpeggiated structure, 1 through 5, or just chordally, and go through or there should have been E minor, go through mechanisms that are part of the 7 diatonic chords. But the idea is to be able to see patterns, whether they're through solos and notes, representing a major. When it's not a major and we change 1 note, becomes a mode. When I raise the 4th, I get. So this chord, A Lydian, when I play that, it's the same as me playing E Mixolydian. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, and then back to E. So when I do those same notes here, I get A, B, C sharp, D sharp. Well, that D sharp right there, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp. It's not E dominant mixolydian, it's my E major 7. So Ionian major, that is going to be my Lydian. It takes a little bit of theory to go through that. Those are patterns that you start seeing over a period of time. And then the last thing I'm going to leave you with is chords just don't have one name. They've got a multitude of names. It's a real bummer in the beginning, but actually you start to see things differently depending on what stage of playing guitar you're in. Again, these are all for me personally. I remember, skipping school, not that that's a great thing, and going to the art museum, which I guess a lot of people who skip school don't take the same path I did as a kid, but I skipped the schools. I went to the art museum with a friend and we learned a little bit about art history, which stayed with me for the rest of my life. That day I played guitar with him for the first time, really. Played when I was like maybe 8 or 9. I learned the beginning of Stairway. It was no way good. And then we played for 3 or 4 hours and I was hooked. But I remember him teaching me like D major and being like, oh, that's really hard. I remember playing D7, D minor 7. And I remember thinking, when will I ever play that chord? Now, not only do I play that all the time, but I know how to name it in like 13 different ways, depending on what notes I add to that chord structure. So don't get scared in the beginning. All these chords have names. Some of them are really stupid pretty. Some of them are used just as octaves. Some of these chords are used as 5 chords. Some of them are used as majors. Some of them are used as minors. Some of them are used as dominants. The dominant chords, believe it or not, also have secondary names. What I'm going to leave you on here today is, if you check out my channel, there chords. Lots of chords. They're either in 15-second clips or 60-second clips. The 60-second clips I think are a little longer. You might like them because it'll be like, this is an A7. When you take an A major and remove the A note, A flat, or G sharp, G, in the key of A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, G. When you flatten that, you get a dominant chord. So no matter where you play your A's, if you just remove that note, you get a dominant chord. Does that make sense? So I go through the process of showing you what the chords look up and down the fretboard, just so you can watch the video over and over and over again and start practicing those and recognizing patterns. It's called the cage system. And then one of the things you do after you learn the different shapes of the chords is you make them very, very well known. Like our D major, when you add a note, yes, this is an inversion of a D major where we put an F sharp in there, but hypothetically, if you played its relative minor, you would have a B minor. Well, if you put one more finger in there, you get a D major. This system allows us to move up and down the fretboard and quite literally learn one group of 7 patterns. C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C. These chords, no matter where you play them, if you played it here, D sharp diminished into E. If you played F sharp, or F diminished, it goes into G flat. Right on? So the idea here is, your vocabulary and your fingers and your brain will move in pace. The more time you clock doing these concepts, noodling, playing, and associating with what these things are, like major scales. Once you see your modes and you're like, oh, I know how to make modes now. Well, what do they mean? You got to play them over backing tracks, or at least play them with other people so you can get a feel for what they sound like. And then the next thing, pattern recognition, like I was talking about, B minor, D major. Well, G major, when we just remove a chord, has a lower end of an E minor, right? So our relative minor is always A minor. Well, an A6, A minor 6, or I'm sorry, C6 is an A minor 7. When we play a D6, when we have just a D major and we play a D6, that is our B minor 7. They are the exact same chord, which means tertiarily, the chords and the names and the notes that you make to make these things are what they are. When you add something like, let's say we played that C6, C, E, G on the bottom. I like that a lot. Very thick. The idea, though, is when you have a C, E, G, and A, that is a C6. Well, C, E, G is just a major triad, but now you've added the baritone note into there. What happens if you take that down to or up to an A again, and you put these same phrasings? You just had the A leading it. Well, doesn't that now feel more like an A minor 7? Not the top note, sorry. With that C over the top. It does. So that's why you name chords a certain way. You also name them enharmonically due to the key signature. So just a second ago when I was talking about resolutions of chords, and I said F diminished, and then that F diminished goes into a G flat major. I could have called it an F sharp major. But the reason why is the F takes precedence, because in that key for G flat, I would have 6 flats. When I go through there, I know G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, F. F is the only note that doesn't have a flat, but I wouldn't say like G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, E sharp, G flat. Why? Because I already have an E. I need a F. You need to use all 7 notes. But that gets into theory. I hope you enjoyed this. Look for pattern recognition. And how does this a practical application if you made it all the way to the end of this 11-minute video? Take your favorite band and your least favorite band. I know that sounds weird. Take the best song that they both have, sit down with it, write down on a piece of paper what key it's in, write down what the tempo is, how many beats per minute, see what the phrasings are, what the form is, meaning is there a verse then a chorus, verse then a chorus, verse then a chorus, then it ends. Is there an intro, then a verse, then a verse, then a chorus? These are all called forms. Some of them are stagnant with just an A form. Some have 2 parts, binary form, A and B. Generally, you'll have a verse and a chorus. Sometimes you'll have a C part. Now, different types of music do it differently, but the idea of knowing what those are, Renaissance music, Baroque music, classical music, what periods of classical music this stuff came out, how it turned into folk, rock, rhythm, and blues, and how folk, rock, rhythm, and blues led way to electronic music might give you some insight on how to make the next best X type of song. But when it gets down to it, when you just do chord analyzation, it doesn't matter what you're doing the analyzation over. It helps you to understand music in a whole sense. So by doing like Nirvana and going D major, B flat, and G don't fit together like perfect puzzle pieces, but Nirvana made it work. So what I suggest is take something that's not too terribly hard if you're just beginning, intermediate style guitar, write out the form. Listen to what each individual instrument is doing, the rhythm patterns, what notes they're choosing to use, whether they're working together, whether they're independent. Who's singing the melody line? Is the melody line doubled by any of the instruments? Are those patterns recognizable in a major form? Can you also hear that? In a minor form. Is it outside the box? Do you hear something that makes you go, that doesn't sound just like what I know, and then strive to know what that is? That's what I try and teach here as far as music pedagogy. If you dig this channel, subscribe, put something cool in the comment section, and we'll see you next for one of these intermediate electric acoustic type of venture videos. Aloha.